Good morning and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. My name is Kayleigh and I shall be your host for today's episode. Today we are in for a real treat. We have the amazing Chloe Dozzell on the show. Chloe is a powerhouse entrepreneur who is passionate about empowering young people to create their own path. And at the age of 23, Chloe started her own PR business. But enough from me, and I shall hand over to Chloe to tell you more about her story. So welcome, Chloe.
Hello.
Hi, Chloe. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am great, thank you. And thank you so much for coming on today and speaking to us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
So just to kind of kick off then, can you tell us a little bit more about you, what your current role is, and what your average day looks like?
Yeah, so I run a talent agency, which I set up 3 years ago when I was 23. I kind of started managing celebrities and reality stars, but I kind of took that and moved more into the social media side of management. As we know, like, social media is the biggest thing at the moment. Everyone's on social media. We follow random people on social media. So I kind of saw that as a gap in the market and jumped on that when I started my own agency. So now I have two parts to the agency. So I have a talent side, which is mainly celebrities or media personalities, as well as social media influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers, that kind of stuff. So my role as their manager or agent is managing their day-to-day life, booking in jobs for them. Anything you see on social media from your favorite influencers, when they're tagging their favorite brands, usually comes from me. So I'd be booking in brand related work, campaigns, adverts, and it can expand to all sorts of things. So every day is different, but generally it is the day-to-day management of social media influencers or celebrities.
That's amazing. And I know so many people watching, they're going to really relate to that content because, as you said, social media is everywhere now. And you can do so much as well on social media. So it's great to have that insight. So thank you. And I know that you are passionate about inspiring young people. So how was school for you? And did you know what you wanted to do and if you wanted to go down this route?
School... Well, no. I always knew from a young age that I wanted to. I remember, I don't even know how old I was young, but I used to say I want to be an agent. But I didn't even know what an agent was at all, but I just kept saying I want to be an agent. And then that kind of fizzled out. And then I went through school, high school, but I always knew I didn't want a typical job. I just knew that wasn't for me. And then from school, I dropped out of sixth form because I just thought this is a waste of my time. It's not what I want to do, even though I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. I kind of knew it wanted to be within a media entertainment role. So I dropped out of sixth form, went to college to do travel and tourism because I love travel. And also they had a events module in there, and that was the only reason I picked that course at college. Obviously it was nothing to do with what I really wanted to do in my life, but at college I then did an internship at a music company. So I just did work experience for 2 weeks at it was like a producing studio. And then that's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I really want to get into music. I want to be in entertainment. So I continued with college, got into uni, went to uni and did music and entertainment management. And that was more music focused, but they had an entertainment side. And throughout the whole course, I was the only person on my course that didn't want to be, well, I didn't not want to be in music, but I wanted to be more in TV or just more of the entertainment world rather than music. So I then looked at internships of how I can get there. So it was kind of small steps, but in the back of my mind, I always knew what I didn't want. So I avoided that and just kept going until I figured out what I really wanted to do and knew I can actually do it, because I didn't want, it's so hard, especially in the creative industry, to realize like all the opportunities that there are out there. But there's loads, so it's always filtering out what don't I want to do, what do I want to do, how am I going to get my dream job, because your dream job is achievable. So it's just kind of working towards how you get there.
I love that. I really love, because I know that there will be those watching who honestly don't know what they want to do yet. So I love how you said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know what I didn't want to do, so I didn't do that. And I think that's a great piece of advice there. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing as well your pathway of the qualifications that you needed as well, to get to what you're doing. Was there any other training courses at all that you needed to do, or what skills do you think are really important to have as well for the role that you're in?
So to be honest, the only real skill that I look back in hindsight for my exact position is maybe having a slight bit of law insight, which is what I did at uni. I had law modules at uni, because there's so much contractual information going back every single day that if you have no knowledge on, it can be so overwhelming, or you'll end up paying for that service. But other than that, starting out, all you need is an actual interest in the industry and reaching out to people to kind of seek your own opportunity to get there. It doesn't actually matter. Obviously, I know I went to uni and it gave me a huge insight into what I did want to do further. But if you are at college and you already know, I want to do this, you could actually jump ahead, not go to uni if you don't want to go to uni, and just seek the experience by reaching out actively to as many people as you can, get as much experience as possible, and seeing there whether you like it or not. Because you could go to uni, realize I don't want to do this anymore, and then the real world hits and you have to actually work, and you've gone to uni and you just think, okay, I don't really like this. Whereas you could still get the same experience doing work experiences or internships, and then you could go to uni and decide, I need to take this further, I need further qualifications in this, I need to study this to be able to achieve a higher role. But it isn't always necessary.
No, and I think that's right, and it's really great for people to hear that as well, and to hear what experience you can get as well within that. And I know, obviously, you're very passionate to speak about being a young female entrepreneur. So you started your business was when you were 23, is that right?
Yeah,
and yeah.
Yeah.
So and you know, that's amazing in itself, and that's really inspiring. Was there anyone when you were growing up as well that really inspired you?
To be honest, not really. I know it sounds really sad, but it isn't a negative thing. I remember expressing what I wanted to do, and I used to hate working for people. Every single job I had when I was growing up, I'd quit because I absolutely hated the management, or I just hated that job. I just knew it wasn't for me. And every time I was going to quit my job, I'd have people say, you can't quit your job because you have no money, you won't be able to afford to pay, that what you're going to do, you cannot quit. And I would just ignore that and quit, because I knew if I quit, I can move on to something better. And when you don't have anything, you have more motivation to be able to move forward and really force opportunities on yourself to be able to grow. But I didn't. I think when I look back, there wasn't really anybody in particular. It was more just identifying what I didn't want from my life, and believing in myself that I can do this. And that's all it really was, to be honest. I wish I had something, but it is probably the opposite way around, looking at people thinking, you know, when you just hear people moan about their jobs or thinking that they're stuck in their careers, when realistically you're not. Like, you can change anything. You can do whatever you want if you want. Like, there is no stopping you at all. There's always a way. So that's what I'm trying to practice in my life now, and hopefully that will go well.
Yes, that's amazing, and it's so great to hear that as well. And I think it's so inspiring to hear that you can do anything that you want to do, and especially at the moment, the current climate, it's really great to hear that. So thank you. From that, so what kind of lessons did you learn about? Obviously, you knew what you didn't want to do, but was there any other lessons that you learned from working in those environments that you didn't want to work in, and having to leave them, and then forging your own path?
Yeah, so I learned a lot from management positions who were above me when I was in retail or just little jobs that I would pick up, and thought the way that I feel that the way that they're treating me isn't nice, and I would kind of mold myself to be how I'd want to be treated. And I think that's benefited me now as a manager, to people with a profile and with people with a presence, to be how I would have wanted to be treated back then. So it's definitely my selling point in the business, and I kind of treat everybody as an equal, as a friend, and people can trust in me. So I wouldn't want to be someone scary telling somebody off for no reason. So that is probably the main thing. But everything is a lesson. Like everything I've been through, quitting all my jobs was always a lesson, because everything that I've been through has shaped me to be able to think for myself and exactly how I want my life to be, how I want my career to be, how I'd want to treat my employees, how I'd want a business to grow. So everything that I have been through has contributed massively.
That's really lovely to hear, and it's nice to see how you've taken those experiences and you've turned them into that positive, and actually you helped them to develop you and your growth as well. We have a question as well that's just popped up saying, what exactly does a talent manager do?
Okay, so a talent manager is somebody who manages a person who has a talent. They may not have an exact talent, but it could be a celebrity or a social media influencer, a media personality, a sports person, anybody that kind of fits that profile. So what I would do is, you may have heard, say, people from Love Island. Everyone obviously knows Love Island. Contestant on there I could manage. So I would be their manager or agent. So I would be responsible in booking jobs for them, keeping their career going, and ensuring that they're earning a sustainable income, long-term, short-term, and being able to keep up with the presence that they want, whether they want to stay in the public eye, whether they want to develop their own business, whatever they want to do. So that could be booking somebody for a TV show, booking somebody to work with a brand on social media, or for a campaign, on an advert, booking for radio shows, magazine deals, all that kind of stuff. Everything you see. So Love Island is obviously the most, you could probably relate more to Love Island contestants and their managers, because we all see what they do on social media. We all see what they do in their lives. So anything you see a celebrity or an influencer do, I have done for them to do, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's so interesting as well, because I don't think many people, especially the students that may be watching, that I don't know if they really know what goes on behind the scenes. So that insight is going to be really interesting for them. And I'm sure next time they're looking at their social media pages, they're going to be able to look at it in a different lens now as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I know you recognised yourself as well the lack of women in the management and agent industry. So why is it important for you to challenge this?
So when I first started in the industry, I actually worked for a small business that was women-led, but we worked alongside so many other agencies that were all men-based, and the way we could feel intimidated or not as powerful as them wasn't nice, because we can obviously do the exact same job. We're obviously equal to them. It just isn't a nice feeling. And the way that they would speak to women in the industry, because there isn't many women in the industry, wasn't nice. And especially being a young female, everybody in the industry. So I moved on to another talent agency that was based all around men, and they managed young women as well. And the young women who were their clients would always come to me because there are a lot of personal things that go on that they may not feel comfortable speaking to a 50-year-old man, or they may be getting booked for jobs, which means they're going to have to be in their underwear, but a 50-year-old man is accompanying them and being the one to be like, you can't post that, you need to be looking like this. It's not a comfortable situation. So I think it's important for females, especially young females who are around the same age as these people who have been on reality shows or are in the public eye, to be there for them, because otherwise they're just being exposed and they feel like they cannot, not always, but sometimes they feel like they cannot speak up for themselves because a man is in charge of them and they're the ones telling them this is exactly how it is. Whereas a woman and a young female can be more relatable. We can understand and we can be there for them in every situation and completely really relate to them. So I think that's really important. But I can see a change. There have been more agencies develop over the last year, and which are led, which is really good. But before, the tradition was it was all men, and they were probably the youngest 40 years old. So it's hard as well, because you think, how come all these men, they're all of a certain age, they all look exactly the same, they all dress the exact same. How am I going to get there? How am I going to be in their job? So I think it is important for people to show you that it isn't a man's world out there, and you can do it. Like, it's absolutely fine. Just got to be a bit strong, but it's fine.
I think you would have just inspired some budding young female entrepreneurs there. So thank you for that. And I'm just kind of following on from that question as well. Have you had to overcome any stereotypes at all?
Well, I have been in a situation. So with one of my clients, I took them to ITV to do This Morning, you know, the TV show. Yeah. And I've been there so many times. Like, I used to go there really regularly with some of my clients. But this one particular time, I took my boyfriend with me just to assist with me because I didn't want to go by myself. As soon as I got there, they literally completely blanked me and spoke to my boyfriend as if he was the agent. And he was like, no, she's the agent, and kept passing it on to me. But I was completely blocked out. Like, I was just there assisting when actually I was the manager in that situation. But that isn't the only time, but that's the time that really sticks in my head, because I was with somebody who actually has no experience in the industry. They were just attending with me, but they automatically assumed that this was the person in charge to speak to without even asking any questions. But there hasn't been anything else other than that kind of gender situation. But no, honestly, it's actually been absolutely fine. I think when you know what's happening in the industry, you're kind of aware, so you can push through it. And I associate myself with a lot of other women and men in the industry, so it's just building a name for yourself, and they'll soon realize it's no problem.
It's so great to see what you're doing though, and how you're kind of forging your own way and your own path as well, and empowering other women. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And we've had another question come through. So how do you make what you do different to other agencies, and how do you promote that?
So my agency is, well, the thing is, there aren't actually that many talent agencies. There are probably 4 or 5 big, huge international ones that everybody who has an interest in the industry kind of know about. But in terms of small boutique agencies, there aren't many. And there aren't many that do both talent agency and social media management. So when I'm kind of pitching myself, so when I pitch myself to clients, there are a lot of people that want to cross over into both worlds. So we have celebrities who want to do more social media in case their TV work dries up. So that's a kind of plus for them. But we also have influencers and social media people who want to get on TV. So we can kind of cross them over into both. So that is the selling point. We don't need to promote ourselves too much because our business is all word of mouth. So our clients speak to other people in the industry, and if they want management, they can approach us, or we just pitch out and approach other people who we want to manage and just explain our services. And it is a personal touch. So the way that they'd want to sign, it would be down to me, and if they like me and what I'm saying to them. But it isn't about being different to other agencies, because every agency represents something different. And I think we're trying to get across that it's a very personal relationship you'll have. We won't just be booking you for anything and taking no for an answer. We listen to our clients and we want the best for them. It isn't always about making the most money. It's about the happiness and the development of our clients more than anything. So as long as we can get that across, we don't need to really compete with others.
I love that. That's really nice, and I love that you're focusing on. So, how do you find work for your clients?
So it can come in different ways. So a lot of work may come directly through our inbox. We are connected to hundreds, maybe like 800 brands in the UK. We work with lots of different TV channels. So they kind of have us on file for anything that can come in. Anything that doesn't come through our inbox, we're actively seeking work for. So we're just kind of scouting the market and seeing what other people are doing. How do we approach them? How do we get in contact? It's a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, trying to get in touch with people who we can speak to, and basically creating new opportunities for our clients, even if it's not already being offered. So yeah, it is just lots of pitching out, finding contacts, and scouting opportunities through various sources. And that is actually all it is, really.
That's another really great insight into your role. So if you were hiring, or somebody in your what kind of roles or what kinds would you look for in a person?
Sorry, you broke up a second then. Did you say if I was hiring?
Oh, yeah. Yourself, if you are somebody, what would you look for as well in a person?
So I would look for somebody that is honest, and somebody that can see more than what's just in front of them. Creativeness is definitely important as well, but I think if you're proactive and want to achieve work, like good things for yourself and for the company that you work for, then that's always a bonus. But definitely proactiveness and willing to get stuck in no matter what it is key. Okay, so I was reading the message. Is good.
Amazing, thank you. I think we are having at the moment, but hopefully those watching can hear it and see it okay. So yeah, the next question coming in: is it difficult to from mainstream entertainment to social media? And so how do you prepare an individual in the two different medias?
So it's not difficult to cross individuals over at all if they are kind of already in there. So for example, Love Island can easily be crossed over to TV and mainstream to social media. That just comes naturally. But say it's the same with sports stars, there are social media opportunities for them. So that's also easy. It may be hard if a personality may be an older person who is maybe like a journalist or that kind of industry where they are known exactly for what they do and social media may not be relevant to them. But if they already have a social media presence, then it's completely easy. There's no problem at all. But the other way round, a social media influencer wanting to be on TV is slightly more difficult because there aren't endless TV opportunities for people starting in TV. And also, you're so picky about what that first opportunity is going to be if you want to get on TV, because you can't just choose anything, because that could also damage your career. It needs to be the right one. What was the second part of the question? I didn't remember
that. So we've actually got another question. Just you've answered that really. Oh yeah, the other question popped back up. So differences in the two different medias. So I think you've answered the first part. But so how do you help them
Okay, so every time somebody goes on TV, there will be a big process behind that. We would need to prep them, media train them, get them used to trolling, which is the worst thing ever, get them used to a new type of fame that they may not have ever seen before or even expected to see ever. But there is a lot of training, but no training is actually enough, I don't think. But we just need to support our clients, especially if they're going from social media to TV, because it's a whole different industry. They're used to having nice followers who follow them because they love them. But now when you're exposed to TV, you're going to get horrible people commenting on everything. So it's just a lot of training behind it and support. But for people going into social media, there's no training needed whatsoever, because anybody can do it. You just need to be aware that people can be horrible online.
That's such a great point as well to bring up, and especially in today's society when more and more of us are using social media, and people are experiencing maybe those, and that can really impact on people. So thank you for bringing people and shining a little bit of light as well on that topic. So lots of young people talk about wanting to be influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Have
yeah, so this is probably my most asked question ever. It's really difficult to say what to do, because every influencer that you see online has been doing this for years. They've been working on it probably for at least 2 or 3 years, if not longer. They've just jumped on an opportunity from their passions, which could be from fashion or beauty, fitness, whatever they were just posting about in their everyday life, and they've just created followers from that. But if you did want to become an influencer, the key things are making sure your pictures are of quality standards. They can't just be any old photo. They need to be good. They actually, it is frustrating seeing people claiming that they're influencers when the realistic, it's just, sometimes you just need to really strip back and start again if you want to become an influencer. Like, lighting is key, the quality of content is key, posting consistently is key, posting about something you're passionate about and can keep up for a long time is also major. You need to keep doing that. And also interacting with people who are also sitting in a similar situation to you, maybe people with more followers but are in the same niche that you would fit in if you wanted to become an influencer, and just supporting them like crazy. As long as you support them, they can support you. Their followers will start to notice you, so you can gain that back on your channel. But definitely photos and consistency, like the two most important things.
Amazing. Final question before we end. So how has COVID-19 impacted your work? Changed?
So in March, it definitely impacted us quite majorly. We had a lot of contracts in place to last us for 3 or 6 months with various brands across all of our clients. And I'd say over 90% of them were cut. So that meant all of our work was taken away from us. All of our clients, obviously I'm responsible for all my clients, so none of them were getting paid, which meant we weren't getting paid, which was really sad. But yeah, that's the sad thing. But there are ways, obviously the business taking a step back, my responsibility is my clients. There are ways that they could still make money online, which we just pushed for them to keep going, which actually turned out fine. And then in recent months, business has actually come back bigger, better than ever. So even though there was a slight downfall, it's actually paid off in the end. I think the companies that we were working for have realized they need to put money into social media and celebrities and influencers to be able to see a bigger return, especially if it happens again. But yeah, it was affected definitely. But now that we're obviously we're going back into lockdown, but now that we're kind of seeing the end, it definitely won't be affected this time, I don't think, anyway. We have contracts in place that are still in place. Nothing's been pulled through. But yeah, no, it's okay. We've just had to make sure that if we get pulled off contracts again, that the work that we have currently lined up is completed and signed off so that people can get paid, and that hopefully it won't happen again. But we just need to make sure everything's completed in time before anyone can pull it away from us. But yeah, it was definitely affected, but now it's definitely come back stronger.
Amazing. Well, it's great to hear that on the positive there. So, but thank you, Chloe. It has been on the show and to chat to you, and I know you're going to. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. So I shall be Thursday show where we shall be chatting to John Tatton at Suez and Jonathan Cross, who was a apprenticeship permanent employee. But just again, a massive thank you for Chloe Dozzell, because it really has been great to hear her insights into the. So thank you so much, Chloe, and thank you everyone for tuning in and watching.